Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Pyro's Projects. Today we're going to get to working on the firebox itself, getting the grate set up, and getting the, the draft systems set up. I'm actually going to be building two different draft systems. One's going to be a natural draft off the front, and the second one is going to be a forced air draft in the back. The reason I'm doing it this way is because to start off the first evaporation that my brother's planning on doing, he's not going to have electricity. So we'll do the natural draft to get him started. And eventually at some point when he gets electricity out to his sugar shack, we can switch it over to the forced draft system. So with all that said, I'm going to see about getting the camera set up in such a way that you can see how I'm working inside the box, because now it's not going to be anything that I can show out in the open. It's going to be more enclosed. So let me get some things set up and we'll see what we can get done today. All right. So what I did is I went ahead and stood the evaporator arch up on its back because I'm going to be adding the forced air draft system off of that hole in the back there. I've got it kind of sort of laid out on my little work table over here. I'll show you that in a moment. But I'm also going to put a natural draft system on the front up here. So that's going to require a whole nother setup, which I'll show you here in a little while. But this is what I'm thinking for the forced air system. This piece right here is actually just a little bit bigger than the hole that's in the back wall of the firebox I just showed you. And then I'm going to put it together kind of like this. And what this is going to do is air will come out this long piece, which I'm going to cut off right here at this yellow line. And then I'll cap in this hole and it'll push air out this way. So I'll have air coming into that box in three directions to fill up below the actual fire grate. And then the natural draft one is going to be this over here, which is a piece of that 6.5 inch culvert pipe that I had. The plate that I cut out of, I don't remember what I cut that out of. Oh, that was part of when I was building my wood stove. That was one of the plates that sandwiches the glass in my fire door. So what I'll do is figure out how to install this bolt so it goes through the center of that. So, as you open and close it, it'll move away from the ring. So as you turn it, it'll basically do this away from that ring to allow the draft air to come in. So I'm going to get started on getting this cut down and start putting it together. Once I have it kind of tacked together, I'll show you how it's going to fit and we'll go from there. Okay, here we go. I've got this all tacked together. And what this is going to do is set it in there real quick. That's actually going to sit in there just like that. And what I'm hoping is the top end obviously is going to circle around at this front part of the box, and then the two angled ones will hit the curves and swirl around on each side to, push the air up through the fire. So I just got to finish welding that all together and then figure out how I'm actually going to install it into the box here to get that sealed up. I don't know how tight that has to be sealed, considering it's going to be below the fire and that's going to be part of the draft setup, but I'll do my best to get it as sealed as I can. And then we'll get started on the natural draft setup. But just so you can get a little bit closer setup, this is 1 inch by 3 inch rectangle tube. And then these two pieces are 1 inch by 2 inch rectangle tube. And I just offset them with a nice, 45, 90 degree angle there. I'll have to cut and fill in this hole to seal the top so that it pushes air out of, the three holes instead of just out of here. But I have to get that piece cut and laid in there and then weld the whole thing tight and then figure out how I'm going to mount it in the firebox. Once I get it mounted in the firebox, I'll show you what I came up with. All right, so I got that air moving adapter put in for the forced air system. It's sitting down in the very bottom of the, well, not very bottom, but close to the very bottom of the burn box. And what I went ahead and did is I took that piece of ring that I've got here and I drew the circle to cut it out, because what I'm going to do is put this into there for the natural draft setup. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, or not go ahead and do, I'm going to show you the next part of the process. I've got that drawn up to cut out, and then I need to get this set up, because I'm actually going to use a piece of that 1/2 by 1 inch rectangle tube as the center portion. I don't know where I did with the bolt. I've got the bolt for, here it is. So once I mark it and cut it down, I'll weld that to the inside with the bolt centered. And then I'll drill a hole in this plate and weld a nut to the plate so that you can turn it in and close the draft down on this. So I'll get all this cut up and put together, show you how to work, and then I'll show you it installed on the stove body itself. Okay, so I got the adapter for the blower motor put in. I'll show you that real quick here. So what I did is I used a piece of 2 inch by 3 inch rectangle, welded a flat plate to it, and I actually cut a second flat plate. I don't know if you'll be able to barely see it right here, but there's a bottom plate, then there's the middle plate, and then the actual mount for the blower. I put this middle plate in for right now because he's not going to be using the forced air. So to kind of seal the box up a little bit. And I'll keep, I screwed the blower motor to it to keep it with the whole setup right now. Probably once we get it in location and set up for the first use, since he's not going to have electricity, we'll probably remove the blower motor and just leave the little seal plate that's in here. And probably, keep the blower motor in his house or garage or something to keep it out of the weather. So now what I'm going to do is, I've got this thing sitting at an angle so I can show you all this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it down and I'll start building the fire rack and getting that situated to make it easier to, once if he has to clean it, he can just put the pieces back in and not have to worry about trying to space them out. It'll just be preset where they go. So I'll get to working on that and we'll catch you up in a little bit. All right, another quick little update, and then I'm going to be pulling the plug for today because, I got to get ready for the work week. So what I did is I took some 1/4 inch round rod and put it between each one of these angled brackets and just tacked them into place. And this will keep, just so that these angle pieces can be just dropped right into place. Make it nice and easy to put them back after cleaning and whatever. I still do want to cut more holes in these brackets or angle bracket so that it can breathe a little better, make the fire a little more efficient. But being at the end of the day and the fact that I need to go get ready for another work week, I'm just going to go ahead and call it here. So I appreciate everybody watching. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next weekend.